3, 2, 1. Arguing again, arguing about something so simple. Make it clear, tell me why you're running back to him. Feeling insecure, feeling like there's more to your character. Every tear that you cry is worth it in the end.
Summertime always makes me reminisce about my childhood. I love the sun, swimming at the pool, getting a bit too sun-kissed, making refreshing desserts, and taking far too many evening strolls. For me, childhood memories are some of the sweetest moments in my life, and to my embarrassment, as I relive those moments in my mind, my cheeks become wet with the tears of nostalgia. Picking fresh cherries in my friend's backyard in July, cooking soup with my grandmother, playing basketball with my childhood crush in the cool of evening. But the memories can also be bittersweet. There were times when you couldn't imagine yourself being happier, and there were times when you couldn't believe how dark life seemed. As much as many of us would like to pretend that everything was perfect, we all have those times we wish we could forget. The time that person betrayed you, the time you embarrassed yourself so badly you thought you'd just die, the time when your family was hurting, the time when your health was at its worst.
Are you seeing this mango? It's so orange.
But as I reflect on the past, I can't help but wonder, would it be better to remember everything or forget it all? Growing up, there was always just a hint of sadness looking back at my childhood that I never fully understood.
Daddy's smoked meat is so good.
I guess as I look back on my life, the word healing comes to mind. Just as I had to heal from my past eating disorder or broken or drifting relationships, healing takes time. It isn't something that can magically be fixed overnight. So this summer, I've done a lot of healing. Not only physically with my chronic health issues, but also emotionally.
They're so good. It came from a box, Autumn.
I know there's so much talk during the summertime about how we should be having our, quote, hot girl summer. We're supposed to live this perfect summer life, drink green juice, and have it all together. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for health and wellness, but sometimes I think phrases like these too heavily emphasize outward appearance. It leaves out an important aspect of life, healing. So instead of a, quote, hot girl summer, I challenge you to think about it like a healing girl summer, where you work on healing from past hurts and learn to trust God even more by surrendering everything to Him.
Come here. Hi, you feel like you want food?
So instead of being convinced by the world that we need to do all these external things to change our appearance for this, quote, hot girl summer, I challenge you to first work on yourself internally. Bring it all to Jesus. Any worries, hurts, or burdens, lay them down and surrender it all. But the concept of healing has always intrigued me. Do we ever fully heal? From my experience, the process of healing is something that doesn't have a set finish line, and for someone who wants things to be so planned out, it's a hard truth to swallow when you're told that there's no timeline to healing here on Earth. But God just calls us to trust Him. I think life is a continual process of healing, and so complete healing may never come in this lifetime. There's this quote I saw on one of my friend's Instagram stories by Greg Morse that said, "For some, healing never comes in this life, or a spouse is never found, or children are never born, but when our King returns, He will make up for every great gift that never came on this side." And I don't say that to be discouraging, because truly we need to still keep pressing on in prayer, but at the same time, just knowing that if we didn't get to experience true healing on this earth, we know that one day our Savior will wipe away every tear. And one day, for those who trust in Jesus, all the healing will finally be completed when we get to spend eternity with our Savior. And I think that's just so encouraging.
These brownies are so delicious. I made them from a box. It's the Simply Mills, like almond flour brownies. Very delicious. I would highly recommend. They're super fudgy, and for extra protein, I put in some collagen powder. Doesn't change the flavor. Maybe makes the texture like slightly more like chewy, but honestly, I don't mind that.
So for those of you who don't know, I'm almost 20 now, which is absolutely insane. And I guess it's just caused me to think a lot about the people in my life up until now. The friend I've known since I was 5, the elderly lady I see at church every Sunday, the neighbor who always waves hello while mowing his lawn but never says a word. I guess I've always been a people person. And by that, I don't mean that I was the greatest at speaking to people, because I'm actually quite awkward if you know me, but what I mean is that people have always held a very special place in my heart.
Oh, honey, 3 at once is too much. Make sure you chew that. Okay. I can't watch this.
I guess I feel that way because each person's face tells a different story, and I want so badly to hear every single one. And I desperately want to hold on to every person who's ever been in my life. But now, at 19, I finally realized that you don't get to keep everyone in your life forever. As I think back through the people I see in my camera roll, I realize that everyone we meet has an impact on our lives.
I'm so sweaty. Anna. Wait.
I know, it's gross. You're super shiny.
I just ran. So, oh, this is where it's at. Look at all that.
Trust me. Oh yeah.
Sometimes we look back and wonder, why did that person come into my life if they weren't going to stay forever? Friendships that you thought would last forever didn't. Relationships that were once the world to you crumpled right before your eyes. But I realize now that some people were only meant to be there for a season. That boy was there for you when you needed someone to talk to. That friend you met helped you learn something about yourself. That schoolmate back in 3rd grade showed you that there are genuine people in the world, even if it doesn't always seem like it. But it's tough when someone steps out of our life, or when we're forced to set a boundary. Even though I know God has a plan for it all, when people step out of my life, sometimes I feel heartbroken. I find it difficult to let go. I like feeling the comfort of old friends and people, but people change and we can't control their actions. I've never been good at saying goodbyes, but saying a goodbye for forever is even harder. It's not only knowing that the person was once someone you told all your funniest stories to, it's not just knowing that the person won't be there anymore, it's also realizing that the person you were once so close to is now just someone you used to know. People come into and out of our lives for a reason, and I know God has a plan for that, but accepting it isn't easy. I just have to remind myself that sometimes life takes people on different paths, and that's just reality. When people we love follow a different path than we thought, the memories of them are still there, and those will last forever. But sometimes it's hard to look back on those moments in time that were once the best memories you had, because now you just see it in gray lighting. In that case, would it be better to remember every vivid detail or forget it all? You see, this life we live is filled with ups and downs, but I refuse to forget, because the moment we try to forget is the moment we start living in denial.
Look at this masterpiece! How bad is it? How bad is it?
It's not that bad. It's just on the skin.
Nyanya would say it's not good for you. Oh, they look so delicious.
Those memories are a part of us, and even though they can be painful to remember, we can still find the beauty in them because God has the power to redeem any story for His glory. But if you're in a healing season, a waiting season, a joyous season, or a season of sorrow, God has you right where you need to be. God's love for us endures forever, as it says in Psalm 136:26. He will sustain us no matter what season of life we're in, and we can cling to His promises.
God, this is so good.
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is that nothing in life is ever wasted. Even when people only stay in your life for a season.
Can you say it? Mango. Daddy, can you say it? Mango. Oh, we need a mango.
That's what I always do. Remember earlier? Come on, my name's Elsah. You can call me Sada.
That was my guy. I think that would be hilarious.
Sometimes, even subconsciously, we think that we, quote, wasted time with people. But I choose to believe that it all happened because of a decisive action from God. If it wasn't for you, maybe those people wouldn't have gotten to experience what it's like for someone to genuinely care about them. Maybe you were the only ray of sunshine in their gray skies. When I begin to see people around me in that light, I realize how much power I have to influence someone for the better. Even though it's painful and confusing, God has a way of removing the things that were never meant for us.
Got some chicken, some sweet potatoes, some broccoli. Yum.
Even though I know God brings people into and out of my life for a reason, it's always been hard for me to accept when people are no longer in my life. I've always been one to feel feelings so deeply, which is both a gift and a curse. It really does feel like I lose a part of myself each time someone I love steps out of my life. I used to think that feeling deeply about anything was a weakness, but now I see it as one of the greatest gifts. So if you cry a little more because you feel a lot more than most people, don't think that you have to change that softness in your heart. Empathy is so powerful, and it helps us see the needs of people around us. But at the same time, it can also feel draining. But just know that if you're an extra nostalgic person like me, it's not a bad thing. Growing up, I tried so hard not to be one of those touchy-feely type of people. I tried my hardest to be stern and hide my gentle personality. I was irritated at myself anytime I cried and anytime I let myself feel something that moved me so deeply. I told myself that life was just easier if I didn't feel anything. Following logic seemed like the sure thing. Of course, we know that our feelings aren't always an accurate compass, but we can't just ignore them and pretend that they don't exist. If we remove emotion, life becomes so colorless. We need to acknowledge our emotions, but we can't let them dictate our life. We have to be able to move forward and not let them hinder our growth as a person.
My jammed thumb. I jammed my thumb playing basketball yesterday. And it hurts to crack this chocolate now.
I'm all alone tonight.
Did you just lick my leg? Just lick my leg. Oh yes, hello. You are so precious.
You're a pretty puppy. Oh my gosh.
Alright, I've got a turkey burger here. I also have this some sweet potato and steamed broccoli. The dog is begging at my feet.
Are you begging? This is what he does when he begs.
Every time. That or puppy paws, like begging paws. He also pretends to sneeze just to get our attention. Did you hear that? He literally pretends to sneeze so that we'll look at him. He's licking my leg. He's licking my leg. Oh yes. Oh yes. You want to be in the film. You want to be in the film. But Yadi is so cute. He wants to help me cook. Really? He just wants to eat it. You cannot eat this. This is chocolate. You will not like chocolate.
Liquid chickens.
1, 2.
Going off of the whole emotion thing, something I've been thinking a lot about is my fear of telling someone how much they actually mean to me. It's the times I talk to myself in the mirror and imagine myself saying to the person what I really want to say. And in the moment, my vision becomes blurry and I feel a lump in my throat that won't seem to go away. I try to hold back the tears, but they spill over my eyes and stream down my cheeks. I rehearse what I want to say to make it sound all perfect, but the reality is that sometimes no combination of words or amount of rehearsing can adequately express what that person means to you. There's a fear of moving forward in life and leaving the comfort of the past behind. There's a fear that two friends who once knew each other so well would eventually grow old and inevitably lose contact with one another. I see an opportunity to tell that person how much they mean to me, and oftentimes I dismiss it simply because I'm too afraid. After missing so many opportunities to lift someone up, I won't let that fear stop me anymore. Life is simply too short to keep passing up those precious moments in time. So if there's a person who's been on your heart lately, I challenge you to go encourage them in any way you felt led.
Alright, y'all, we are taste testing this almond flour brownie. I made them from scratch, not from a box. So we're gonna try it. I did not have enough coconut sugar, so it probably isn't gonna be super sweet, but it will still do the trick. The texture is so good. Yeah, could use a little more sweetness, but overall it's so yummy. And they're warm too.
Just imagine what would happen in this world if we all told someone today how much that person means to us. You never know how your words will positively impact another person. What if you made that person's day just because of what you said? What if what you said reshaped their entire world? You never know the last time you'll see a person, and that inspires me to live fearlessly.
Yours would have been prettier.
Oh, this is plenty salty. Really good.
Guess I thought I'd have it figured out by now. But I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know.
Even though we sometimes have to let go, each and every person who was once a part of our life became, in a sense, part of us. And so when I look back over my life, I can be so thankful that I got to call so many people who once loved me friend. I got to make so many people my home, even if it was just for a season.
Good morning, friends. I just woke up, as you can probably tell, but I just wanted to wish you a happy morning, happy day, happy night whenever you're seeing this. Yeah, I just got some Greek yogurt with some protein powder or collagen in it. And then I've got a golden kiwi and blackberries and blueberries. And then I added some, I added some peanut butter.
The seasons are temporary, but just the right person walked in at the right time to show me something about myself, to teach me something I wouldn't otherwise have learned.
Alright, I've got some smoked pork, grilled asparagus, and roasted sweet potatoes. These are so good. And then I added my dad's really good barbecue sauce on this meat. It is so yummy, tangy, kind of salty, and like sour from the tomato.
And if you're also healing emotionally or praying for healing from a chronic health issue like me, I feel your pain in the waiting. But I once heard from someone that for God's strongest soldiers, He puts them through the hardest battles in life. I don't know how theologically sound that is, but it is something that I remind myself of. It helps me remember that God is always with me and my strength comes from Him alone. One day, God will take all the broken pieces of our hearts and put them back together to make a glorious masterpiece. Whether you're healing physically, emotionally, or both, just know that you can take your time. There's no rush. You can rest and remember that God has you right in the palm of His hands.